And good morning. Welcome to ICE TV Memphis. And I am your TV host for this morning, Barbara Jeffries. And we thank God for another day. For this is the day that God has made, and let us continually to rejoice and be glad in it. And ladies and gentlemen, today we recognize the winning, praise God, of Joe Biden, President Joe Biden,
Yes.
and Vice President Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
And we thank God for that. I just had to get that shot in. Yes, way to go, way to go. But ladies and gentlemen, today we just want to talk about some real facts that's going on in our country that will lead up to our guest for today. And again, thank you for tuning in, and tune in every Sunday the same time at 11 o'clock a.m. on Comcast, Channel 17. Our country has been under so much unrest all over the world, politically, socially, economically, and not to mention this 2020 pandemic. So many social increasing issues of racism and injustice to our black people. The untold number of black men and women deaths, especially in 2020. But music has a way of bringing all of us together to get out off our minds and off all the problems going on in our world today. Music can change the world, particularly jazz music. Jazz music is what feelings sounds like. And the culture of jazz music has always played a big part in our black community. Calm down and listen to some jazz. According to the scripture in the book of Ecclesiastes, there is nothing new under the sun. The civil rights movement of the 1960s, how jazz and the civil rights movement came together in the 1960s, is now our country was under so much civil unrest, especially with our black culture. And please, if you would just allow me to give you a brief history about jazz and the civil rights movement. Jazz musicians and artists came together and made their voices heard during the heat of the civil rights movement. And in the 60s, the famous saxophonist, player, who helped make modern jazz popular around the world, the renowned saxophonist, John Coltrane, 9/23/26 through 7/17/67. Charles Mingus, Nina Simone, a pianist and vocalist. Nina Simone as a black woman who made her stance against injustice and racism through the lyrics of her jazz music. John Coltrane, 1963 song, Alabama. This song was written in response to 1963 church bombing in Birmingham, Alabama, that took the lives of 4 innocent little girls. And other jazz artists and musicians, Miles Davis, Charles Parker, Dizzy Gillespie. What about Herbie Hancock? How can we ever forget him in the 70s, rocking the models runway, his music as we listen to it. Sonny Rollins, Miles Davis, from May 26, 1926 through September the 28th of 1991. an American jazz trumpeter, a band leader, and composer. Miles Davis is among the most influential and jazz acclaimed figures in the history of music and the 20th century. And there are so much more history of the culture of jazz and how more black jazz musicians came along and populated the culture of jazz. And today, ladies and gentlemen, you may be saying, how is this rich history of jazz relevant to Memphis, and especially Ice-T Memphis today? And now, Ice-T Memphis viewers, I bring you up to 2020. A New York native and also from Memphis, who is known for the love of jazz, an award-winning jazz pianist, Steve Lee. And Steve Lee's vision is to save the culture of our jazz through education and instruction, particularly to our very own Memphis youth and young adults. And he is now preparing the next generation to move them forward in the culture of jazz music. He is the founder and the executive director of Memphis Jazz Workshops, which is a nonprofit organization committed to cultivating the art of jazz to our very own Memphis youth. Who's who, Memphis? Steve Lee.
That was
Welcome,
great.
Steve.
Thank you so much for this opportunity, Ms.
You
Barbara.
are so
Thank you.
very welcome. And Barbara, you can call me
Oh,
Barbara.
Barbara,
That's
okay,
fine.
okay, okay.
Yeah. I'm glad that you accepted the invitation to
Oh, no
Ice
problem.
TV.
No problem. No problem. We mentioned some big names. I don't know if I can come behind them names like, Sonny Rollins and Miles Davis, but, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, but that was just part of the 1960s movement with the civil rights movement, how the jazz musicians came about.
Right.
They was very effective during that movement.
Yes, because if you listen to Coltrane music, a lot of people think it's intense. Well, it is very intense for its chord changes, and you got to give respect to the drummer, Evan Jones, that intensity that he brought behind Coltrane music. But those guys was not just Coltrane. You can talk about Art Blakey and all the musicians that was playing this music in the 60s. They was playing with a message behind the music. Those just wasn't notes. They was playing with, you cannot eat in certain restaurants because she's black.
Yeah.
Most of them was doing a chili circuit, so they was traveling. They was traveling up and down the highways. Billie Holiday, Strange Fruit, where she talk about how this song talks about how she saw black men and black people hanging, on the highways.
Wow.
So, but that music is so intense, but the intensity was because what these cats was dealing with, the daily lives of just being a black man in America. So, and then you mentioned the bombing in Birmingham, this song Alabama. But Coltrane is the one I talk about a lot, but there's so many other jazz artists that's in the 60s that I can't mention their name now, but Coltrane is one that definitely stands out to me because this music just has so much intensity.
Wow, I know.
And the piano player, McCoy Tyner, and I might be just been biased because of the theory behind his music, just how they play, but it just stands out.
Wonderful, wonderful. And Steve, before we go into detail about Memphis Jazz Workshop, you are the executive founder and director of that. Tell the audience a little bit about your history and how you started in jazz.
Oh, no problem. From Memphis, I moved to Memphis at the age of 1 with my mother and my brother. Grew up in South Memphis by Riverview and Carver. If you know Kansas Street, Benford, up that area of South Memphis, I went to Riverview Elementary, Riverview Junior High, Carver High School, where I was band director was Ozzie Smith and Tim Turner. These are names, household names in Memphis when it comes to music. Left Memphis in '87, moved to Knoxville. Spent 5 years in Knoxville, pledged to fraternity, Omega Psi Phi, which I have to say I was a full-time Q.
No, that's okay. You can go ahead and give a shout out to them.
Oh, makes it. I was a full-time
Wow.
Q. I wasn't a mega man, full-time Q dog. Left Knoxville, and you see I didn't graduate, so I left Knoxville. I didn't graduate from college till so I was in my mid-30s.
Okay.
Left Knoxville, I think in 94, 95, moved to Las Vegas. Did the Las Vegas scene, doing a lot of solo piano. Had opportunity to travel to Europe, Switzerland, Paris, I think fall of 96, I think. Spent a half year in Europe. Left Europe, came back to Memphis for maybe 6 months, on to New York. Spent about 12 years in New York where I was the minister of music for Dr. Frederick Price, where I've learned when it comes to faith and the teaching of faith and Proverbs 18:21, I've been biased. I've just never heard anybody teach faith like Dr. Price.
In Proverbs 18:21, what is that scripture? That
life and death is in power of the
tongue.
tongue.
Praise God.
I live off that.
Oh, yeah. You have to speak it. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And his ministry of teaching that, I just loved it. And left New York with $200, a wife, and a 3-year-old.
Faith.
Yeah.
Faith.
Moved back to Memphis, and stayed with my mother for maybe 6 months. Then I moved in an apartment with my fraternity brothers. Let me rent an apartment. Then I started teaching. This probably was 2009. Taught at Levi Elementary, then taught at City University. Well, I forgot something. I got my first degree, college degree at City University in New York City, I think 06, 07. Moved to Memphis, like I said, in 2009. Worked at Stax. Worked for Shelby County Schools. Worked for Memphis Music Initiative, where I work for now. And that's why I got into the whole idea of nonprofit.
Okay.
The world, from Stax to Memphis Music Initiative. That then came the birth of Memphis Jazz Workshop. Just being around the whole nonprofit, seeing how to work. Find a problem in the community, which was jazz, I think, because I don't think the music's been trickled down from generations like it was years ago in Memphis. So, well, we 2020. Well, we got a new president.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's what we're at now. So, just been teaching around Memphis and playing.
Yeah.
Had a CD out in I think in 2013, Music and Kill My Life was nominated for a Stellar Award and also Rhythm and Gospel Award. So I was blessed with that opportunity.
Praise God.
And,
Praise God.
It's long overdue for a new one.
Yeah.
But I just been dealing with these kids for the last 3 or 4 years. So I'm writing, but just my mind is really trying to get this organization, going. So.
Beautiful, wonderful. And that is nobody but God, just the inspiration of working with the youth, which is our next generation. And then you instill into them the culture of jazz, music. And I watched one of your Facebook Lives, your last performance with the youth.
Okay.
I was just so inspired with the female vocalist, Young.
Tiana.
Listen to this girl.
Yeah,
and then
Tiana.
the other young musicians playing, I mean, they was right on point.
And they're
right
young, too. They're like, girl is like 7th grade.
Wow.
And I think the kids that was performing, the drummer, he's like 9th grade. So these kids are young, but that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to get a program that elite program that these kids are not. They really playing. They really learn the music, and they learn it the right way. And I want them to be. If you hear them, you will think they 30s or 40s.
I know.
That's what I wanted. Yeah, and that's a prayer.
I was amazed.
Yeah,
I was amazed, but that's because they have an instructor like yourself. I have a history of, as a musician, my artist, to teach them and instruct them. But let me ask you, Steve. So Memphis Jazz Workshop has been implemented since when? What year?
Since, the first camp was 17. I got the non-for-profit paperwork and all that finished in 16. So the first camp was summer of 2017 at Visible Music College. So we 3 years old.
Okay.
So we're not that old, but we just been, I've been listening to God, and He wake me up 3 o'clock in the morning, a lot of times,
Wow, yeah.
talking to me, and I'd be
Yeah.
wondering why is I'm up. But I think, well, I know it's him talking to me and just guiding me. You know, the Holy Spirit just telling me what to do and what.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
It
I wish he would.
takes
I
that.
wish he would do it during the day, but not.
That's the best time when everything is quiet, the city
Yeah.
shuts down. You know, and as the scripture says, where there's no vision, the people perish.
Right.
And you
right.
have, I bless God for you because you have a vision for the youth.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and we find out nowadays how you hear so much negative things
Yeah,
going on about our
yes.
black youth.
Yep.
You
Yep,
know,
yep.
but you also have other races.
Oh
in
yeah,
your
yeah.
camp as well.
Yeah. It's some us white kids part of the program, and I'm you know, trying to reach all the kids, you know, in the city, you know, about this program. So I just want the parents to know, you know, send the kids out. You know, we're not just teaching how to play jazz. These kids are learning life skills.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Time management, communication. You know, that's what I was telling Darryl when we was about meeting during this pandemic. We can't meet in person. I mean, that's very important because these kids, you know, they want to, you know, it's a friendship thing down,
Yeah.
you know, started over the last couple of years. So, you know, they not just learning this music, they learn so many, like I say, a lot of life skills comes along with this music that I've experienced. So actually what they're doing, they live in, I'm teaching them my experience of this music, not just the music, but I mean, in New York, not in New York, anywhere you talk to a jazz artist, I mean, it's the conversation, we could talk about so many different things, music, politics, Bible, just my experience with just
So
talking to
broad.
musicians, they just,
Yeah.
they knowledge about every different thing, so.
What about Steve? Or is there any particular age group that you accept?
Really, like 6th grade, 6th to 12th grade. So that's what, like 11, 12 to 18, 17. Now we do a summer camp with Employ,
Okay.
which they actually get.
Employees through the city of Memphis as well. Okay.
They actually get paid for the summer
Okay.
to learn. 5 weeks of.
Awesome.
Yes, I mean last summer we made it across town. We had about 80 kids. You know, they all getting paid. You know, to just come learn this
Hey.
music. You know, it's a great opportunity for
There's an
them.
initiative for them to
Yeah.
come
Yep.
and learning
Yep.
so much. And especially during this 2020 pandemic, Steve, how often do your workshops meet?
It's fortunate we meet was a couple of times. We got a couple of workshops going. We teach at Mace, Memphis Academy of Science and Engineering. We have a program over there that meets Monday and Wednesdays from 3:30 to 5:30. Have a program at Crosstown that meets Tuesdays and Thursdays from 3:30 to 5. And we do a Saturday program,
Okay.
but we just finished this past Saturday. And we're looking into doing a couple of workshops between now and Christmas. But everything is virtual. You know, everything is online.
Yeah.
I was meeting with maybe 5 students because we was preparing for these fundraisers every other Saturday. But I'm looking to the spring a situation that we can like meet one Saturday in person, the next Saturday. No, I'm sorry. The first Saturday could be in person. The second Saturday would be virtual. No, and
Right.
operate like that. You know, every other Saturday they meet and you know they can get a chance to play, and one Saturday they get a chance to learn online. I'm just just trying things out.
Just brainstorming pretty much. It's
Yeah,
like
this
the spirit of
pandemic
that
started.
Lord.
It just
I know.
we think it's gonna be like a week.
Yeah.
Man, I think it's going.
How long has it been since March of 2020?
Yeah.
I'll never forget.
We was
yeah.
spring break, and they say well you can't come back. I
Yeah.
said okay, this is cool just for a week.
Thinking maybe you're going to be off for a week.
Nah, it's
but no,
going on almost.
extended.
Yeah.
You know,
So-
and that's something I want to mention because if there are parents that are viewing, you interested in your child or children to enroll, this pandemic, I'm sure that he can tell you more about the safe environment because that's what we really, particularly, concentrate on, safe environment.
Yes, but I'm still
Social
trying to make it
distancing.
interesting for them because the kids are spending 8 hours a day in regular school. So my job is still to make that hour and a half that they meet with us that makes it interesting for them. They're not bored. So you know, parents, this is where we're at now until at least until, you know, the spring or till they get a vaccine. We just learn online now. But they still learning. Actually, in some cases, they actually learning more, I think. You can break down a lot of, I mean, you can't get the playing and the communication and playing off each other in the live thing, but you can learn a lot. You can break down theory. I'm learning. So there are some pros with the virtual learning. You can just venture into a lot of concepts. You have time. For example, because I'm a piano teacher, I can teach almost 20 kids through Zoom, especially if I have the camera connected and they can see my hands.
Yes.
So it's some
Those
pros
are
with it.
pros.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it works, but you know, it's not like I said, keep going back. Not like that playing in person, but they can still get something with the virtual learning. I believe.
Okay. Awesome. And Steve, you mentioned about, well, I read about there are youth performances opportunities with professional music artists and vocalists. Who are some of these artists? Are they locally here from Memphis?
I'm sorry. I'm glad you mentioned that.
Uh-huh.
Thank you. Because we do have a great staff. We have Johnny Yancey, who's a native Memphian, been playing around the jazz scene for, the last 30, 40 years. He's good friends with my first instructor, Donald Brown, which is a jazz pianist from Memphis that I studied with at UT Knoxville. We have Gary Topper, excellent saxophonist. He's lived in New York for a while. He's an excellent arranger. We have James Sexton on drums. Everybody know James Sexton. We have Mike Assad. He's a drummer also. We have Jamil Hunter, our vocalist. We have Eddie Clark, trombone player who works with a lot of, he worked with people from Ray Charles to Aretha Franklin. We have Michael Scott, who's our educational coordinator. He's been with the Memphis Symphony for 45 years.
Wow.
So I hope I'm not leaving anybody, but I think that's the majority of the faculty. Alan Clayton, saxophonist.
Very familiar with Alan. Yeah, he's great.
I think that may be it for now. Charles Pender. Charles is over the music program at Southwest Community College.
Okay.
Sylvester Sample, bass player, excellent bass player. We have operation manager Lee Van Merkelstein, who's great, taking care of the paperwork and keeping me keep me kind of on my toes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I'm learning cause this is new for me being an executive director. I've always just been a performer.
Yeah.
So to deal with staff and learn how to manage staff and things, this is new.
How many staff do you have at this time?
We really just have 3 staff, but we have like maybe 10 teachers.
Okay.
Faculty. So, I had to make sure they're getting paid, fundraisers, that's whole, fundraise and deal with board members. I mean, that's a lot. I had no idea.
Part of it. Yeah.
You had to be careful what you ask God for. Because I asked for, a change in my life and I wanted something like this. He gave it to me and I'm grateful for it, but it's a lot of work.
I know, but he won't put no more on you than you're able to bear. And then
yeah.
as he told Abraham, Steve, is there anything too hard for the Lord?
Right.
There's nothing too hard for God.
Exactly.
But Steve, you mentioned about maybe the spring of 2021, you're going to start back some of those live performances.
Definitely.
Will the public be able to come out and participate in the audience?
Yes. You can just follow us on Memphis Jazz Workshop .org or Facebook. Memphis Jazz Workshop, or my page, Steve, Steve, Lee, Lee. But we definitely gonna have a spring performance. How it's gonna look or where, I have no idea. But we've been doing a couple of things at this spot called Kazuki with Larry Robinson.
Okay.
It's a couple of virtual outdoor performances where they have it connected with live screening going through Zoom and Facebook. And that's been pretty good.
Okay.
That's been really good. We had a couple of fundraisers over the last 2 months.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And I saw one of the live that Beverly Robinson. I know her from the National Civil Rights Museum. She was the director there. I worked under her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
and,
yeah.
Awesome woman of God, also.
Yeah, she was at the first fundraiser. She loved the kids, and she said she's going to do all she can to make sure, the program be successful. So that was a blessing for her and her husband, Howard Robinson, to host the last event. So.
Very active in, that donors.
Yes.
Sponsorship
and that's
for
what
different
you need.
nonprofit organizations.
Yes.
And we thank God for them. Again, ladies and gentlemen, you can view the website at www.memphisjazzworkshop.org, or also text. If they will be interested in donating, they can donate on the website, or
you can
text
us 901 Jazz 2. Oh, that's TO. 77177.
Okay.
I might hold on. That's 71777. I might have to view that right quick because I might be wrong. Is it 71777?
I do that.
Okay.
On your page, text 901 Jazz to 71777.
Okay. Yeah.
Again,
forgive me.
You can text. That's okay.
Yeah.
I got you. I got you covered. Okay. Text 901 Jazz to 71777.
Yeah,
Again,
my
that
PR person,
website.
she's gonna kill me.
That's okay.
I can't remember everything.
No problem. We got your back, Steve. Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Lee's vision, Memphis Jazz Workshop, cultivating the future of jazz to our Memphis youth and young adults. In conclusion of ICE TV Memphis broadcast, the Memphis jazz community needs a revival. Jazz represents one of the most musical, historical, and cultural phenomena of the Memphis and Mid-South area. A true renaissance of jazz culture can only come from the youth in the city, aided by those such as Steve Lee, the director of Memphis Jazz Workshop himself, and other professional jazz musicians. Steve, thank you so much for being our guest.
Ms. Jeffries. Thank you so much
for
this opportunity. I can't thank you enough. This is great for you to tell my story and to have people like you who's interested in my story and want to continue the legacy of this music in this city. So
absolutely.
Thank you.
You're so very welcome. Okay. And we're going to have you and the children again.
Oh, yes.
We would love to have you performing.
Yeah. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, just be ready for that.
Yes.
And me, myself, Steve, as a gospel jazz recording artist, as I tell the viewers today, jazz it up with the gospel. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to ICE TV Memphis. Tune us in the same time next Sunday at 11 o'clock a.m. on Comcast, Channel 17. Be blessed.